Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here for the early discussions on the long-term plan. It's good to see so many here. And we have 4 councillors online. In addition to that, we have apologies from Councillor Taylor, Councillor Rankin, and Councillor Duncan. You are online, that's good. So we start with the opening karakia.
Tue ki te Māori o te whenua, tue ki te mana o te tangata, tue ki te pono, te aroha, kia peke, kia eke, ki te taumata, hui tae.
Thank you for that. Just a reminder to everyone, this is being recorded and live streamed online. Hilary, you're going to lead this? Or is the Chief Executive?
I'm perhaps going to start before I hand over to Kendall, just to acknowledge that it has been a little while between LTP workshops. Obviously we paused this process to be able to do some work on Head Start, but it is time to bring it back. So Kendall has a presentation to run through, and then we'll answer questions as we go. So I'm going to hand to Kendall.
Kendall, sorry, I'll get the right name.
That's all right. It has been a while. So as Julie said, we've there has been a little bit of time in between our long-term plan workshops. So the purpose of today's workshop is to just recap the workshops that we've had earlier in the year around the long-term plan, supporting the direction for this long-term plan, and also understanding the LTP in the context of the Head Start as well, which I'm sure everyone is thoroughly enjoying talking about. So on the agenda today, we'll have a brief recap of where we left off, talking about, again, that Head Start and that long-term plan relationship, our long-term plan principles, the rates caps, which has also been a little bit silent of late. We will be talking about levels of service review. So just remember that was quite a big component of the earlier workshops that we had. And then we will be talking about our vision and community outcomes just towards the end of the workshop as well. So our workshop recap. We've been talking, we started in February and did a lot of work in March. We've talked a lot about our strategic direction and priorities for this LTP, and I think it's safe to say that some of that might have changed given recent announcements from the government. We also had a big focus on levels of service and our ability to reduce rates. That came through, we were working through with each of the teams, so all of our teams came to workshops and you all were able to walk around the room and look at priorities, understand challenges and the costs and what's actually being delivered at the moment, but also looking into the future around what those challenges might be as well. We also were talking quite a lot about how we will introduce rates caps. So at the end of last year, the government announced a rate cap. We don't actually have a formula or anything around that at the moment, and I will get to that later on, but that has also been quite a big discussion through the earlier workshops as well. And then just that last note, we had our last workshop on the 21st of April, and after that the government announced the Head Start, and that's where we paused the LTP for a little while just to enable everyone to, including yourselves, to try and understand what that Head Start process was looking like and also what it did mean for the LTP. And it has changed how we are looking at this slightly in terms of how we manage the process. So, the long-term plan and Head Start. The long-term plan, it is required, and we'd still need to adopt a long-term plan and a water service strategy by the 30th of June next year. We don't know yet if any further legislation changes are coming around changing those requirements for the long-term plan or the water services strategy. So we know that we still need to be able to do these pieces of work. There is a lot of uncertainty at the moment. I think that's probably a really key point to stress for everyone, staff and yourselves. Things are changing. But it's important that we keep building the foundations of this LTP. This will enable us not only to get to the finish line, but it means that we can build some flexibility into the process as well. And if there are other big things that pop up, we can have somewhere to pivot off a little bit better. So building a really strong foundation, which to date has been really proven to be key, because we have had a really good strategy coming into this long-term plan. So when Head Start was announced, we actually were able to pause and regroup and rethink. And so even though that deadline of 30 June is coming, I still feel that we're in a good position because we have had those early conversations and built a strong foundation. So I think that's really important to keep in mind as we go on. The Head Start, it will require significant resourcing. We have seen that in the last month. So we just need to find that balance between those two processes to ensure that we've got and we can create a positive future for our communities, both with the Head Start and the long-term plan. And I'll just get into a bit more context on that. So, setting ourselves up for the future. The LTP, that sets out the future for our communities. It's what is important, what is the community expecting council to be delivering, how do we work in partnership together. It's looking at what we deliver and, most importantly, what it will cost. So with this LTP, there is significant change on the horizon. I'm sorry, I might sound like I'm repeating myself quite a bit, but it is a really important thing to just understand that these changes are significant, and so how we navigate all of that. I think with that as well, though, as I was saying, the LTP is setting ourselves up for the future, our communities up for that future. So how can we use this LTP to be something of a voice for our communities when we do look to combine and join into a larger unitary authority? What can we use the LTP to do that for our communities? The Head Start, it will influence this long-term plan. How do we balance, the short term with what our communities want in the long term? So how do we start to work through those kind of tensions that we might come up with, and setting ourselves, and everyone up for success in the future? And then just technically there, we will need to make sure that we are budgeting for resourcing the Head Start through the LTP. So while we're coming back to you with a number of budgets and looking at how we need to deliver things, the Head Start will be something that we need to keep track of as well in terms of how we're looking to fund that through this LTP.
Kendall, if I don't mind, just apologies for jumping in
No,
there because you're
feel
doing
free.
an awesome job. I just think perhaps for those that are watching online, we council hasn't made a decision on whether it puts a Head Start proposal in or not, but the assumption that we're working on is that this government and, dare I say, other parties have indicated that structural reform is on the horizon for local government, and so regardless if you put a proposal in on the 9th of August or not, we are anticipating structural reform. So just for those that are watching, just making it clear that council hasn't made that decision, but we're working on the assumption that this government has indicated structural reform is coming, and other parties have previously talked about that too. So just clarifying. Thanks, Kendall.
No
But
problem.
just to clarify, that's unlikely to happen inside the next 2 years.
So,
For us.
so the assumption is within the 10 years of this LTP, there will be structural reform, and we're going to have to try and make some assumptions around that and set ourselves up for the future so that this community is in its best space it can be when change comes during that 10-year period.
Carry on. That's all right. So when we talk about setting ourselves up for the future and acknowledging Julie's point there, a decision hasn't been made, and I suppose that lends really handy to this tension that I'm going to talk about. So setting ourselves up for the future, Does it mean focusing on affordability, looking after what we have, our assets? Or are we looking at delivering on long-standing community requests? There has been some narrative around smaller communities not having a voice in a bigger unitary authority. So is this LTP about honouring or trying to figure out how we do this for our community that they might feel they might not have a voice coming forward? So that's a tension, putting things into the first 3-4 years of this LTP versus what we do here as an affordability matter that we need to try and work towards. And that would have been that was a big focus of those earlier workshops. We talked about affordability. How do we manage these rates increases? Because we know that our communities are juggling day to day with our rates increases. So how do we manage those tensions? And I think these are going to be some really important discussions that we, staff and yourselves, that we're having with our community to guide this LTP. What is this LTP going to be? So I think that's just a really important question that I want to put out there. So to date, based on what we've been working on and as staff and with you through the workshops, we have developed these principles for the LTP. These are for you to consider and decide whether they are whether we should continue working with these. So yeah, as I've talked about, rates affordability. This plan, we want to focus on the efficient maintenance and delivery of core services and infrastructure. There will be very little nice to haves in this budget unless we are asked by the community to include those. We will continue to look after our critical assets and infrastructure and plan for growth. Those are things that we have to do. Given the cost pressures and the need to limit rate increases, we may have to reduce some services. And again, that is what we've discussed in earlier workshops as well, is around those levels of service. And again, just looking at that last point, this is a long-term plan. It is a 10-year plan. And while there is uncertainty, how do we use this long-term plan to set ourselves up for the future? Sorry, I just turned to my notes. So yeah, I think these principles here, they do respond to both the needs of the LTP and Head Start, but they also respond to recent legislation proposals around the changes to the Local Government Act as well, where the purpose has proposed to change to focus back to core services and things like that too. So we've tried to create these principles to be flexible, but to really manage those three key things, which is uncertainty, affordability, and the changes that are coming down from government. This is a little bit of insight as to what staff are looking to do for you as we develop our activity planning over the next month or two. So we've created some planning priorities. Through the last long-term plan, we introduced a bit of a structure about must, should, could, trying to understand what it is that what council must deliver to hit those legislative requirements. Then there was some, should we do this? It could be a good idea. Does it create something outstanding for our community and help with longevity? And then there's the could. Could we do this? Is there space in the budget? Those sorts of things. So what we've done is we've added another layer of detail in there around what the must, should, could be, just so that you can understand as staff are going away planning and again focusing on those things like affordability. This is what will be coming to you in later workshops. So we're building this plan from a foundation of must, which will then allow yourselves and the community to build things in that they would like to see in this LTP as well. Again, just some insight into how staff will be budgeting. Again, there is a big focus on affordability. We are looking at reduced budgets, again, to really drive home those affordability objectives. Risks and consequences. So where staff are unable to, I suppose, include a cost into their budgets, they will be identifying what those risks and consequences are around not including that, so that you and the community are able to understand that and make that trade-off. How do we balance what must and could and should be in there? So we will be bringing a lot of information back to you and the community to help drive those decisions. And again, like I just said, they are going to inform a trade-off discussion. So it's going to be a lot of information that comes your way to help build this long-term plan.
Can I just jump in there in terms of the process that we're running internally? We've just literally come from an internal session this morning talking about LTP and kicking this process off, and thanks for being there. I guess what I've talked about is through the last annual plan, we sort of started down this approach where we brought you a figure, and then you had information to talk about trade-offs and consequences, and to be able to get much more of a slightly different approach in terms of our budgeting. So if you wanted to stuff, you could have a baseline, but if you wanted to add stuff in, we were able to give you information about what could be added in, the costs of those, and the risks and trade-offs of not including that. We're moving down that path for this LTP on a much more formalised scale. So I foresee us having conversations about risk a lot more through this LTP and trade-offs, and then you can have the community conversation around if we do this would be the cost, but this will be the trade-off if we don't do it. So much similar to what you've done in the annual plan, but for all of our activities this time. So hopefully that helps, but we are actually flipping our budgeting process on its head and doing it a different way. So acknowledging that, that's what we're up to internally.
So rates caps. Haven't spoken too much about these recently, but we understand. This is what we do know, is that there is meant to be a bill due in July, which is this month now. And there's still a lot of uncertainty. We know that there is a proposed range of 2 to 4%, which excludes waters. However, we don't have much background detail such as the formula at the moment. So we are working with a statement. And then I suppose, again, the key point there is, regardless of those rates caps, we are trying to develop this LTP with an affordability lens. So again, this is another tension or balancing act that we need to figure out as we go through that. So,
John, can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Through this legislation that's expected in July, that's also where we will get our definition of what core services are as well, is that right? Or expect to?
Yeah, so that's the Systems Improvement Bill. That's a different act. My understanding is that the rates cap will be done through a separate piece of legislation. So I understand that the Systems Improvement Bill, the one you're referring to with the changes to the purpose of the Local Government Act, that is due for its second reading this week, hopefully. It's been there and it's been delayed, but I understand it is this week. And I haven't seen anything else regarding the separate rates cap legislation today. If Julie's got anything else.
I guess I was just going to express a little bit of frustration because, every council around the country is working through their long-term plan process, and we're trying our very best to make legislation that we don't currently have. And so particularly that core, non-core, what's giving government some direction on what's, what they want us to consider as non-core, that comes through the Systems Improvement Bill, which we have got in terms of a draft, and Kendall's got some slides coming up about where we might look at seeking to make some proactive or upfront decisions around those non-core activities that government has asked us to look at. But I'm very frustrated that we haven't had direction on the rates cap, and we're working on the basis of what the Minister gave us a long time ago now, and all councils are trying to work through this. But that aside, we're working on that as a principle and following that direction, but we don't have the legislation, nor are we going to have legislation in place until next year, because when it comes out in July, it'll be simply a bill.
Rachel.
That may have answered my question, actually. Just 2 to 4%. We've had, the fuel crisis, I suppose, and it's not looking like getting any better. And if we're working under a 2 to 4% rates cap now, inflation's sitting at 3.5%. So I was asking if there was any consideration for that from the government, but obviously not. Okay.
Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering if you wanted us to ask our questions at the end or as we go through the workshop. I did have some questions from some earlier slides, but I wondered if we wanted to wait for questioning at the end or...
No, that's absolutely fine. If you've got questions, happy to take them as we go.
Okay. So back to, on mine, it's page 9 on my slides that we've got. I'm not sure if that's the same as what you've got up there. It's on our planning priorities. So on that slide, I just wanted to understand the explanation of the context of maintenance in that slide.
So the maintenance is basically how people are planning to maintain our assets. So what's an easy example? Painting a building. So looking at whether we should, if a building is due to be painted, having a better look at that and going, is that maintenance due now, or is it still in good condition and can we delay that? So that's the sort of thing that we'll be looking at from those maintenance things.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Kendall. I just am a little bit cautious because we've got it in the should do's instead of must do's. And if we're talking big maintenance, then that's only going to give us bigger costs long term if we defer maintenance.
Councillor Campbell.
Oh yes, well look, I'll just poke in here. I'll just point out that whether we arrive at 2 or 4%, that's all very well, but and this is a subject I've been trying to discuss in chambers since before Christmas actually, and that's about the financial delegations, which means that we only get to look at all this stuff once a year, hundreds of items at a time, and there's no time. It's not humanly possible to apply proper scrutiny to the line item projects, including the very expensive in the millions. And this thing about financial delegations, we need to get better reporting all throughout the year, not just once a year. And I mean, the latest Roberts Street project, I think is an example of something which just swished through last long term as a line item, which there was no explanation like all the rest of them, and it just gets built later on in the year, and there's no scrutiny by elected members at all. And I think that was a big waste of money, and it's just going to keep on happening, whether or not we cap it to 2 or 4%.
Councillor Campbell, I understand what you're saying. I have some sympathy for that, but I think that's slightly different what we're talking about today. We're trying to work on the long-term plan, and you're really wanting to have some input. Because once it's in the long-term plan, it is effectively approved. What you're wanting is some input later on when it comes to implementing it. Is that correct?
Oh, well, that's absolutely. Like many other councils I know of, just because it's a line item in a long-term plan, that does not mean that that's a license for the staff to just go spend $500,000 or more on whatever without any other scrutiny from elected members. It's insane. It's utterly insane, and this place has been operating like that for way too long.
We understand what you're saying there, Duncan. We're here actually talking about the long-term plan today. That is an issue that is part of the long-term plan, but I think we should let Kendall get her presentation made. If we've got any questions relating to it, we address them, but what you're wanting is a separate item that we need to discuss. I agree.
Oh, no, that's right. I mean, we'll give Kendall a full hour to present her case,
Yeah.
and I don't think I was allowed my 5 minutes to present my case on this, but yeah, look, carry on, by all means.
You'll get your 5 minutes. Hope, you've got a question?
Yes, through the chair. Page 10, staff budgeting approach. Kendall, can you please tell me what affordability targets will staff work towards? That's what we've got in there. And who sets those targets?
Through the chair.
I'll have a go at answering.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
You've got more experience than me, so. My understanding is that's what we do. We set those targets.
That is us, definitely.
So, councillors, we're trying to work through a process of bringing you information so you can have that information to be able to make trade-offs and decisions. So that's the process.
Kendall, do you wish to carry on there, please?
Through the chair, maybe it would help if I sort of explained how we did it last triennium with the must-dos, the should-dos and the could-dos. We go through this process to identify what's important, and then the staff will go away and price that up for us. That will then be brought back to us, and that's when we've got a bit of a basis on which that we can make some cuts. So at the moment, we're just going to have to set some very high-level broad targets. The staff will come back to us, and that's our opportunity to go through line by line and say that's not going to work. So it's a long process. We've got 12 months of this. So I think we'll just have to ride out the process. We've got a lot of legislative change, we've got rates caps, and we've got high inflation. So this is going to be a moving target right up until we adopt, I suspect.
Thank you for that explanation.
That makes sense. Thank you, Councillor. That was great.
Kendall, would you like to carry on?
Sure. No, thank you for those questions. And yes, please feel free to ask questions as we continue. So we are looking at reviewing some current levels of service. Again, looking back to those earlier workshops where staff brought you the information around potential areas or suggested areas where service levels could change to try and reduce rates. So we're looking at the next slide. We will be looking at those areas where we're calling them deep dives. These deep dives are investigations. They are not a done deal. They are for staff to go away and look at your direction to develop options around how we can look to reduce costs and from services that that council provides to the community. These options will be brought back to this table for you to work through and then back to the community as well. And just to reiterate, there will be no decisions on these levels of service until next June when you are adopting the long-term plan. So again, just to look at that process again, you are giving the direction around what these deep dives areas are. Staff will go away and investigate and develop options, and then we're bringing them back to consider. There will be no decisions until later in the process. So we've to help guide these options development with these deep dive areas, we've put some criteria in there to help guide that. So it's things like, does it improve rates affordability? Do the community benefits outweigh the community costs? Does it create capacity needed to do the transition work? And the transition work we talked about is the head start. Again, trying to balance what we have to do over the next year. Will it bring the community on the change journey with us? Supporting ourselves in the future? Will it align with any new council partners and regional council functions? And again, there is a lot of uncertainty there. And also, will it protect our financial position and our investments, such as the TEL fund? So those are the guiding kind of criteria with those levels of service. So the areas, the activities that we are looking to review, again, looking for your guidance around this, is transport, our parks and reserves, housing for the elderly, non-core services, venues and venues such as our operating hours, and fees and charges. Question?
Can I just interrupt there, Kendall, and hope you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So this is for the previous slide, page, it was 13. It's just, yes, that's the one. So where it says the criteria to guide options development and align with Head Start, how are we defining align? In the sense of, does that mean that we're looking for internal changes, or are we actively engaging with our neighbouring councils to identify opportunities for shared services and transitional planning?
Great question, Councillor Woodward. So firstly, just acknowledging that we actually do a whole lot of shared services across both the Bay of Plenty and Waikato already. But yes, depending on, once you've made a decision on how you wish to approach structural reform, yet there will be opportunities to do further work with those if you go down that path, to be able to work closer, I guess.
Yes, I think just those conversations we could almost start initiating and get a head start on the Head Start ourselves as well there. And sorry, just lastly, with that criteria, I just wonder, we're having a lot of conversation around improving rates or rates reduction and rates affordability. And while I know that's what we really want to achieve, I just wonder if that is more the right wording, because it's not actually going to be easy to achieve, especially in the financial environment that we're in. So I wondered if we sort of change the wording up to more of improve organisational efficiency and value long-term, value for money long-term for ratepayers.
Thanks.
Do you want to carry on?
So just going back to those activities to be reviewed, these.
Sorry, did I not get an answer to that question?
Through the chair, maybe I can help. As we develop through the process, Hope, we will end up with a long-term plan consultation document. That'll come a little bit further down the track, and that's really when you nail down some of that wording for the public, for the community to understand.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. It's hard to, trying to
So
understand this process, but when I
Yeah,
don't receive
it's
an
difficult
answer, so
first
thank you,
trying.
Councillor.
Sorry, Councillor Woodward. Yeah, these are helping. I suppose, as you say, there is a lot of things going on, and so for staff to go away and do the work and bring back all of the information to you, we've set these sorts of criteria up to build that foundation, to make sure that we are bringing the right sort of information back to the council table, so that you can start building that process and what that end result LTP looks like. As Councillor Cameron mentioned, there is a consultation document that we will be busy preparing, and that will have a lot of material in it about what you want to talk to the community about, and that will start being developed probably later towards the end of this year, and we look to approve it next year in March. So again, just to reiterate, what we're trying to do here is just get the guidance from you that you think that these are going to help make sure that staff understand what we need to go away to bring back the right information to help decision makers. So, and then you can confirm things later in the process. Cool.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, John, just got one question.
Sorry, yeah, I heard you.
It might be to pin for later, because I don't think I've seen it in the slides. If we can at some point get clarity on what that timeline might look like. I know it keeps changing, but we haven't had an update on what that timeline Looks like, even though it's probably, we don't know. Because I think we were saying at our meetings yesterday that we were expecting some communications, well, some conversations in Turangi at least around the outer for, was it September? October? And that's not sounding like it's lining up with the same dates you're saying. So that's we might just need to reset some of those dates and the expectations.
We've had,
Yeah.
we've had to have changes, so thanks for that, Councillor. Perhaps just given Councillor Woodward's questions and Councillor Foreman's questions, maybe we give councillors another update of the project plan to be able to show where we're at in terms of the process. Yep.
It was definitely the intention to bring some updated timeframes to you. There has been a few changes to the schedule, so and including how we're working through with audit, because we have auditing timeframes and things like that too. So there has been a lot of work going into the schedule, and it's not quite finalised yet, but we're getting there. We just wanted to highlight fees and charges as being an area that all teams who have fees and charges will be looking at. The thing with fees and charges, and I suppose it's some of the messaging coming from central government, is around a shift to user pays. So with our fees and charges, we have what we call a revenue and financing policy, and we review that every long-term plan. And what the revenue and finance policy does is it sets what we call bands or splits, and it looks at the user pay versus the general rate payer and on a fee. So, for example, pools. The pools are, we have a fee that people, when you go to use the pools, I can't remember what it is, but say it's $10, they pay that. But then there is also a general rate that subsidises the use of the pools. So what we're planning to do is look at the revenue and financing policy and looking at those bands with that direction from government around higher user contributions. So that user pays concept. Again, we will be doing that analysis and bringing it back to you and the community to understand where those pressure points, I suppose, or peak charge has it gone too far, and then the question after that is, if it has, what do we need to do to bring to make that more accessible and things like that. So that is quite a big piece of work, and again it's looking at that user pay contribution to reduce that rates contribution. So again, another balancing act that we need to do there.
So just to clarify that, to reduce the rate payers paying, meaning that the user will actually pay more.
Yes.
Yeah, through the chair, I think the pools example is a good one, because I think the bandwidth on that is around 70% rates funded and 30% is covered by fees and charges. And is that balance right? Should it be closer to 60-40 user pays? That's the discussion.
Thank you.
So that's, I think I just wanted to highlight that one is it's just a little bit different because it touches on so many different parts of the organisation and the community. So yeah. Right, we're nearly there. We've got 2 slides. So our vision and community outcomes. Last LTP, the council at that time, they did a review of the vision and the community outcomes. So they're what we've been basing to date this LTP. We have done an assessment of the current vision and community outcomes against the proposed purpose of the Local Government Act, and generally the vision and the community outcomes align with that new proposed purpose. So we are looking whether we can confirm to retain these and keep using them for this long-term plan.
Councillor Woodward, do you have another question?
Yes, thank you. Kendall, can you explain how it says there that the community outcomes generally align with the new purpose? Can you talk us through the areas that don't align and that do? I just think it's a little bit of a broad sort of term there.
Off the top of my head, no, I can't. It is a piece of work that we did quite a little while ago, and we have circulated that assessment to you.
Okay, cool.
But from memory, and that's why we did it quite early on in the piece, was because we wanted to understand whether there would need to be some changes. So yes, they are broad terms in terms of generally it does align. Again, we have circulated that assessment to you, and I'd be happy to discuss that. I just have to go and refresh my memory, sorry, a little bit better. There was quite a bit of detail in there.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah. When were we sent that assessment, sorry?
It was probably early February or March. We timed it with the workshops as well. We have raised it in a number of workshops, but there's been a lot of detail in those previous workshops too. So
through the chair, is it in diligent? Can we look for it there, or is it?
I believe it is in diligent, but I will double check.
So we could go to the workshop date, and it might.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, I will. I'll work with Molly, who's fantastic with diligent, and I will make sure that it's in there, and we recirculate that to make sure that you've got it. So finally, our next steps, and this hopefully might help with some other questions that you've had. So staff are now going to be starting our activity planning. So that's looking at what we do, how can we do it better, what are we trying to achieve for the community, looking at all those sorts of things. We will have more workshops with you that allows you to look through and question that information that is coming from staff around projects, around services. You will get that information and work through it, and we will ensure that there is time that allows that to happen. We've also got some workshop. We haven't got these booked in yet, but we want to have workshops with you around what we've termed our significant projects. And again, we've talked about these earlier. That's things like the Turangi activities track. There's public here. I wasn't quite sure whether we should use the term track. And then also the Northern Access Way as well, which is looking at the transport logistics coming from the northern to the southern side of Taupō there. So those are two of the significant projects that we want to come and have some detailed workshops with you, because those have been in previous LTPs, and how we need to work forward on those sorts of things. Again, there will be council workshops on the initial capital program, so understanding the capital and that 10-year look. And then also we want to be finalising some engagement plans, and that's just, I just want to touch on that a little bit more. With how we were tracking and then pausing our engagement, we're just trying to figure out what that looks like with the community over the course of this long-term plan, and how we do that to make sure that, one, it's meaningful, that we're actually providing information that they have and they can provide some meaningful feedback. And making sure that there's appropriate time, and whilst the 30th of June is a year away, or less than a year away now, there's a lot of work that we need to do within that time, and again, just timeframes and schedules and how we fit it all in there. So it is there in front of mind, and how we all work together to make sure that those sorts of things happen. But that's it from me. I'm happy to take any further questions.
You're going to get a few of those, Kendall. Thanks for putting that together. Councillor Greenslade.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Kendall. There's nothing worse than all the cards going up in the air and coming down in a completely different place. I suppose one of the things that concerns me the most is that it's very clear that we're not going to be a standalone council any longer. And the pools are a very good example. I was just actually doing a little bit of homework, and there are quite a few councils across New Zealand who outsource their pool management, And I'm thinking, you know, if we're going ahead with the model that we've already used in the past, but perhaps we're combining with other people, and Rotorua is an example, and they outsource their pool management, I'm hoping we're not wasting our time. I'm hoping that we're not doing something that then in probably less than, you know, a couple of years is actually going to be revisited again. I realise you can't really comment on that, but I sort of feel like I'm thinking I would like us stick to things that we know absolutely are going to be our responsibility, and not things that could change that much in the future. Do you understand what I'm saying, Julie? Yes.
If I understand what you're saying, Councillor Greenslade, I guess that's why we had the slide up here thinking about sort of the two big drivers are really around affordability, and the other one is trying to be mindful about what might come in the future and how we best, and everyone will have different interpretations of that, and we'll bring you the information so you can debate it, how we best set up our community for the future. And so that's what we were trying to sort of say in that slide. Those are the things that are in our mind that we need to bring you so you can make decisions on. So I agree.
Thank you, Julie. Councillor Cameron, followed by Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess that's the reason we have to be very strategic in our approach to this long-term plan, exactly for that reason. My request is, I'm just going up to the slide there with the workshops on significant projects and the capital program. I know last time we had them, and it looks like you're following the same approach, must do, should do, could do, with a bit of rationale, which will just help guide us on our strategy for, you know, aligning with a possible amalgamation and so on. If we understand what we must do and why, we've just got a better idea of what we should include. It would be really helpful.
Councillor Campbell.
Oh yeah, look, I just wanted to point out to anyone listening that council workshops, as we've got listed there on significant projects and the capital program, they are in effect staff presentations of how things are going, and they in no way that is not the same thing as proper scrutiny and presentation of all practicable options. That might happen sometimes, but that's certainly not assured, and that's what it is.
Thank you, Duncan. You got another question there, or you? Councillor Campbell?
No, that wasn't a question. No, that wasn't a question. I was just trying to inform any watchers about the way it is here.
Through the chair, I note it's our job to ask these questions, so I guess that's on us.
Can I just say to the members of the public, some of you may well have questions, and it's easy to find the councillors' cell phone numbers and email addresses, and the best way to get questions into here, is we are not permitted to take them from the floor, is to actually text or email a councillor. If you were to do that today while we're here, we could may actually be able to ask the questions on your behalf, but I think that's more important when we start getting into the details of what is actually being looked at, what is possibly going to be reduced, and what you'd like in there and what you wouldn't like in there. It is important we do get the feedback from the public. All of us here are well aware we're here representing your interests, and it was made pretty clear to me in my job that they wanted the rates controlled as best we could, and I did stand for making sure we focused on core services. So I'm sure the other councillors would agree we're willing to take that information or requests from you. But Hilary, thank you for that. Before we, Hilary, Kendall, I'll apologise yet again. I don't know why I call you Hilary.
She's a great person. I'll call you Jim then. Okay, Jim?
Yeah, no, call me Jim, that'll work just as well.
Kendall,
Councillor Forley.
can you just remind us then what that public consultation looks like? No dates, just general consultation?
Yes, so we have to prepare a consultation document, and that the detail in that document is yet to be confirmed as we continue building this long-term plan. But yeah, that is next year, and we go out for a month and discuss all of what is in the long-term plan with the community. That is also an opportunity for the community to submit on anything in that plan or that document that they may support it, they may not support it. It is a way of communicating whether the settings for the long-term plan are going to be right. Last LTP, I think we got over 1,400 submissions. So it was it's a lot to work through, but it is one of the opportunities. As the Mayor said, councillors are available to take any feedback during the process. It's not consultation in the long-term plan. It's not a one-stop shop. It's not we're open for consultation. We don't want to talk to anymore. And I would say that there will be other opportunities as well through the Councillor Connect and our rep group meetings, things like that. It's not just a compartmentalised process. It should be an ongoing conversation about what the community are hearing and what they want to see in their long-term plan. I'm a big champion for that. I don't want to see just a right, it's consultation time, let's talk about it now. It needs to be an ongoing conversation that really builds the strength and the voice in that document. So yeah.
Councillor Campbell, you have a question?
Yes, just a question, Kendall. Perhaps jog my memory, but the last long-term plan we consulted with the public, I know it was over 1,000 submitters. Can you tell me how many things we changed from the draft version to the final after that consultation? Because I don't remember it was very many things. Can you remember?
No, councillor, I cannot remember. I'm sorry. I do have a memory like an elephant, but this one's just a bit too much for me. As you said, we did have over 1,400 submissions, and so no, I can't recall exactly the changes. But
I'll tell you what I remember, and it is a couple of years ago. But I do remember we changed the bags, the bags bins thing. Well, that was not necessarily a change, but that was the decision. That was a different decision from what was proposed, and we stuck with the rubbish bags. But honestly, as best I recall, we might have tinkered with half a dozen pretty minor things, and that was from like 1,400 submissions. But anyway, look, that's just how I remember it.
Thank you for answering your own question there, Duncan. That's good. Councillor Cameron.
The formal aspect of consultation on the long-term plan as legislated is not the only way that we can consult. In fact, if we're doing our job as councillors properly, we should be going out with our channels through the Councillor Connect forums so that the public can feed into the process all the way through. So I think it's incumbent on us as well to get into the community and to guide the community on this process as well, because it's really complicated. Look at the discussion today. So I think to answer your question, Duncan, if there are some changes that the community want, we need to be out there talking to them and during the process, not waiting until we've got a consultation document together. That would be my advice.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron, and that's a message for the public as well. You know, it's important we do get feedback from you. Anyone else, any other questions from anyone at all? Everyone online's all happy there? But we're going to let Kendall get back to working on the long-term plan. So, Kendall, thank you very much for making the presentation. I appreciate that.
No, thank you. And thank you to the members of the public here as well. So, it's made my day.
If you could help me with the closing karakia, it would be appreciated.
Tēnei hui, kia wate e runga, kia wate e raro, aro ki te tika, aro ki te pai, hui e tai kia.
Thank you very much all.